There we go. The boarding process is underway well and truly. The first set of 6 hooks out of 12 has connected to the International Space Station, which means we are halfway there to those 4 astronauts boarding the International Space Station there for the first time in 40 years as an Indian. As this is an unprecedented mission by these 4 astronauts on board. Peggy Whitson, who's the mission commander, Shubhanshu Shukla, who's the pilot and Indian Air Force Group Captain. Also on the mission is Slawaz Yunansky Wojciechowski.
If you're just joining us, this is Mission Control
and
Houston,
Tibor Kapu, who's a mission
Axiom-4
specialist
aboard
from
the
Hungary.
Dragon Grace spacecraft have connected to the International Space Station at 5:31 a.m. Central Time, currently in the process from soft capture to the hard mate to the orbiting laboratory. First set of 6 hooks have closed, and now monitoring that second set of 6, 12 in total, to form that hard mate.
Well, you might be asking what's next once these astronauts get on board the ISS. They're set to they're set to stay on the International Space Station for about 2 weeks, and then they focus on research while they're there, carrying out over 60 experiments, and they're scheduled to return in mid-July after approximately 2 weeks on the International Space Station.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, hard capture complete.
Now let's...
Dragon copies, hard capture complete.
Yes, if you're just joining us, we are covering the docking of the International Space Station.
All 12 hooks have closed, and that is a hard mate to the Dragon Grace spacecraft and the International Space Station, completing from soft capture to that hard mate. And these...
There we go. If you just heard, the hooking process is complete. All
progress,
12
and
hooks
then it'll be on
have
to
attached.
establishing umbilical connections between the spacecraft and the International Space Station. That'll allow for the transfer of communications and power through those umbilicals. So we're Dragon. You see that upper portion that's mostly black against the vacuum of space, but that's the solar arrays to provide Dragon power. Once those umbilicals are connected, that power will then be provided by the International Space Station, and communications will have that hardline connection with the umbilicals as well.
There we go. The docking process.
And once those umbilicals have been connected, that'll complete the docking process, and that's when NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers, namely Ayers, will jump into action and begin the leak checks and hatch opening procedures. And that'll allow the pressurization of the vestibule, the space between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station, to be brought to pressure equal to that of what is inside the station and inside the Dragon spacecraft, about 14 psi, what you experience here on Earth as sea level. And then from there, the hatch operations will continue. And the Axiom Mission 4 team will make its way on board the International Space Station with welcome remarks soon to follow.
We're now joined by Dr. Surinder Pal, who is former ISRO scientist located in Bengaluru. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Pal, on the program. We're watching these live visuals of the Axiom-4 mission successfully connecting with the International Space Station. How big of a day is this for Indian spaceflight?
Well, as far as India is concerned, whole India and particularly ISRO, it's a great moment of pride for us, something for which we have been working since long, and astronauts are getting trained. Finally, in a couple of minutes, he will be inside the ISS. As I see from your, visuals, that hooks have been put into place, the pressure differences will be removed, and they will enter inside. So the experience which is gained by Group Captain Shukla and the astronauts and also the standby astronaut Group Captain Nair, that will be quite helpful to us for our Gaganyaan mission. Not only this, back end, there is a team of doctors plus mission specialists and others who are there in the US, Florida, as well as they will be there in Houston. So they will also get the experience how to handle the mission for Gaganyaan, which will be there maybe in 2027. And further, we have got an ambitious plan of having our own space station, maybe 2035 or like that. It's called Bharat Space Station. So all these things will be useful. One thing which I would like to tell you is that although ISRO has paid 550 crores of rupees, but it's a collaborative program with ESA, with NASA, with SpaceX, and of course ISRO. And the experiments which are there, which will be being conducted, 60 experiments by various agencies, and 7 experiments which Group Captain Shukla will conduct. They are from the various agencies in India, coordinated by ISRO, and mostly they are biotechnological experiments and plant physiology experiments, which will be quite helpful for future missions to understand. So they are not simple that experiments take, but if you go inside their, biology or somewhere, chemistry, etc., the impacts will be quite significant for the overall scientific mission. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Pal. Why is it so important for India to have an astronaut on this international and commercial mission?
Well, it provides us the experience. At the same time, in tactical, we'll see the person who is going to be one of the astronauts, what we call it Vyom-yatri. So in Gagan-yatri or Vyom-yatri, so they will be there. At the same time, as I told you, we are gaining the experience at the back end. The teams are also there, and they are looking into the operations, etc., how to conduct it. So this experience will be useful for our own project, which will be there in 2027, and many flights will be there before that. So it's a learning process. Here, the learning is quite useful to us, and I think cost-wise, if you see, one is it will increase the self-confidence and pride of the country. Second, technologically, we'll learn many things about it. So in my opinion, learning is more important than putting a person there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mainly biological experiments going on this from the Indian-led projects. The Polish and Hungarian science is the list is nowhere near as long. We have many experiments, including microalgae, muscle regeneration, seed sprouting, among others. These experiments, which do you think is the most exciting? The optics of them, the potential of them. What is the most exciting out of these experiments that are taking place on the International Space Station by Indian-led experiments for you personally?
See, these experiments have been chosen after a lot of deliberations. A lot of proposals were there. So it's difficult for me to tell which is the experiment which will be most useful. But if you see the plant physiology related experiments, which can be, which will give a lot of inputs for future, like eatable microalgae or sprout of the seeds, so, or muscles degeneration and regeneration. So all these things will feed to the future. So it's difficult to tell which is more important. All the 7 experiments which are there, I find each one of them is quite important. And at the same time, the astronaut, Group Captain Shukla, will talk to 6 HAM teams, and may talk to the school children. So all this will encourage the youngsters to come for the space technology. We are celebrating the 50th year of Aryabhat, our first satellite launch. And I was a member of the team, a 22 years old young man at that time. So at that time we did not have much a concept of space. Today school children have got all the concept, and the enthusiasm which they got, which one can see in them, is just marvelous, and it talks about the bright future of India. Thank you.
Thank you. How does Shukla's AX-4 flight accelerate the ISRO's Gaganyaan program?
Well, Gaganyaan program is a technological as well as mostly it's a technological program which is going on, and it's not as costly as it from the US standpoint of view, but we are progressing line, and things facilities are getting created. We are also we are getting a collaborative program. It's a collaborative program. We get a lot of inputs from various space agencies, like our astronauts have been trained in Russia, France, US, so like that. So it's a scope is much wider than only putting a man into the space. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pal, for joining us on the program. We have some breaking news coming in just in a second. We will bring you these. If you're just following us, we're showing you the live visuals of the Axiom-4 launch. There are 4 astronauts on board. The first time India is in space in 40 years, over 40 years. If you're just joining us, we're seeing those that Dragon SpaceX boosters connect with the International Space Station. The 12 hooks are now complete, and that boarding process is well and truly underway. We have some breaking news coming in, however,